It happened, guys. Fellow film fanatics, review channels, film analysis channels, top 10 lists, Blu-ray or DVD collectors. One of our own has finally reached the motherfucking big leagues. Ever since I've been exposed to the internet in a young age, I correlated it with my most passion in life, which is film, filmmaking, TV, animation, so on and so forth. And you got the classics that everybody has their first runabouts in YouTube. Channel Awesome, Jeremy Johns, The Angry Video Game Nerd, Cinemassacre. And obviously you gotta mention the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Stuckmann. I love Chris. I really enjoy his content. I think he has really interesting, he has a nice, unique twist to the general, at least in my opinion, movie reviewer. It really is, the amalgamation of a reviewer and a critic, because he is legitimately a fan of film, but also acknowledges and, appreciates different nuances that not a lot of critics or reviews are really noticing, He's more, not as, obviously he isn't pretentious, if you've watched, if you've ever watched a Chris Stuckmann review. It's pretty laid back, especially nowadays. Pretty, straight to the point, and you can tell, when he really likes a movie, you can tell by the way he's describing the film, a good lad. But guys, I always asked myself, obviously, a large majority, or even I'd even say most of people on the internet talking about film, we're just frustrated artists deep down. We can talk about it, but we can't make them. Maybe we don't have the opportunity. Maybe we don't have the money. Maybe we don't even have the talent or the time. Everybody's situation is different. But boy, oh howdy, I think people are legitimately underestimating how amazing of an accomplishment it is to finally, at least, I'm talking about, you have 8th Grade by A24, directed by Bo Burnham. You got some of the, the whitest kids making movies. Zach Krieger. We're going to talk about him in a moment, by the way, because a few hours ago I just got out of the theater to watching Weapons. Amazing movie. But I'm talking about strictly YouTuber review channels, people who talk about film. You have To Boldly Flee, from Channel Awesome. You have The Angry Video Game Movie. But I'm talking about professional film in the mainstream zeitgeist, directed by an actual movie reviewer who originated on YouTube. That shit has never happened before, at least from my understanding, from what I can remember. And Chris Stuckmann, I'm very excited and actually pretty proud that, it's actually going to be Chris out of all the people, on the platform. That's really, really exciting. I'm sure there's been other, content creators that started off on YouTube, but I'm not strictly talking about them. I'm talking about movie reviewers, talking about movies, making a living out of talking about movies, and finally graduating to, actually making movies. Dude, the Chris Stuckmann movie is being distributed by Neon. That's insane. If you've seen the trailer, of course, Mike Flanagan is an executive producer. That's insane. I saw the trailer, and actually, being totally honest and, removing my bias as, a Chris Stuckmann enjoyer, I thought the trailer for Shelby Oaks was pretty interesting. I liked it. It's not the greatest trailer that I've ever seen in my life, honestly. It's pretty, it's what I expect a horror trailer to be. But for what it was, it managed to create an interesting, level of intrigue, especially with the beginning. I'm not going to spoil the trailer because I really want the most amount of people to watch that trailer so we can support the fact that, finally a movie reviewer from YouTube is actually making a movie. I want people to, support the shit out of this project because because of what it represents. Of course, I would love if the movie was great. I hope it is. We'll see. I hope Shelby Oaks gets a gets a release down here in Mexico. I really, really hope so, because I would be the first in line to watch that movie to support Chris. And honestly, because the trailer, I thought was pretty solid. I liked the editing. I liked the use of audio in the opening shots, and then it just cuts to a very, I'll just say, shocking reveal in the first few seconds of the trailer. And I like the presentation. You just hear it in the background, and then it's shown to you when the actual act or action happens. It was a great way to start the trailer. And then it warmed my heart to see the letters flash on screen. Writer, director, Chris Stuckmann. I'm paraphrasing, of course, of what it said, but it was like, damn, man, it's like, it finally happened, you know? It's a big deal. Also, I've been following the Shelby Oaks production journey from the beginning, ever since Chris Stuckmann initially, you know, announced to the world that he was going to direct a movie. And I was like, hell yeah, Chris. I much prefer the marketing aesthetic that they're going for Shelby Oaks now than what was, you know, the teaser poster, the logo for the movie when it was in production, and, you know, when they had their Kickstarter campaign and so on and so forth. But I really like, you know, they're going for a much more minimalistic, you know, vintage looking feel. Like the logo of Shelby Oaks is now, you know, in grainy, you know, VHS-esque white. And I actually really like the thumbnail of the trailer where you can see the, I'm guessing it's going to be our main lead, you know, with a white flash, you know, blinding, you know, our perception of her, where we can't really see her face. You'd have to see it to believe it, basically. English language, speak. It's a flashing light, you know, blinding us from her facial features. I thought that was It kind of reminded me of the marketing aesthetic for Longlegs from you know, a while ago. I liked it. It's much more, you know, interesting. It's much more, you know, it makes it feel like, oh, this is like because, you know, with all due respect to the original Shelby Oaks logo, I thought it looked incredibly corny, but I like the new one much more. But anyhow, now I'm just shit talking in the movie, but I'm excited for the movie. I hope it's great. I would love to see this as a new, you know, I mean, speaking of which, you know, we have, you know, next year we're having the Backrooms movie directed by Kane Pixel, so that's going to be really cool. You know, it makes me excited that, you know, YouTubers are finally, you know, graduating to, you know, mainstream, you know, big leagues, like I said at the beginning. I think that's really cool, and I'm happy, proud, and excited to see what Chris Stuckmann has to show to us. I can't imagine, because I love Chris Stuckmann, his videos. I've been watching them, you know, probably since like 2011. And so it's like 14 years now. That guy really loves movies, man. His passion for film is evident watching his stuff. I can't imagine, you know, what he must be feeling, you know, actually going to bed knowing that many, hopefully many years in the future, when he's dying, he gets to tell himself, I actually made a professional film for a major studio. Because a lot of us aren't going to be able to say that, you know? It's a privilege. It's a dream come true. And I will be the first in line in my local movie theater to see Shelby Oaks. I'm very excited. Congratulations, Chris. We're rooting for you.